Hey everybody, I'm Paul. I'm here to talk about broker identification. So we're going to jump right into it. What is broker identification? So broker identification is very simple. The state of Michigan requires that every single realtor displays who their broker is at all times on all forms of marketing and advertising. In addition to displaying who your broker is, they have another requirement where they're going to ask you to display your broker's address or the phone number of your broker. Not both, it's either or. So you've got two things that are required: your broker name and your broker's address or phone number. The state of Michigan has placed requirements on the size of the broker's name in relationship to the agent's name, but they have not placed requirements on the size of the address or phone number on advertising. So one question we get all the time is, where is this required? And the simple answer is pretty much everywhere. Okay, we're talking business cards, letterhead, emails, postcards. If you're making video content, if you're live streaming, if you're going to place videos on YouTube, on your Instagram page, pretty much any place where you are doing anything work-related, you need to have this disclosed. There are some challenging applications of this. One would be on clothing, where you have printers and or embroidery companies that have a hard time making the broker's name, address, phone number legible on a small space. The state does not really make any exceptions for this. Why does the state of Michigan require these advertising rules? The short answer is that the state of Michigan is trying to create clarity in the marketplace. They want there to be zero confusion about who you work for and how to reach your manager or your broker should there be any questions or concerns or problems. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, now creates a lot of questions on, is this okay? Is that okay, right? So when it comes to the broker identification, the state of Michigan says it must be clearly stated and readily available. Okay, so let's talk specifically about the broker address and broker phone number, since those elements do not have specific sizing requirements listed. Let's say you have a gray postcard you're sending out and the broker address is barely legible and also a similar color gray. You're probably going to get slapped by the state of Michigan because that is not clearly identifiable and readily available, because you're attempting to play a game and you're trying to mask that address or hide that address. Okay, so that basically runs us through what's required. We get it, right? So you have to have the address or the phone number clearly placed on the marketing, someplace readily available. The other issue we are running into now is going to be how your name and how 5-star appear on marketing. A few years ago, the state of Michigan decided they were going to change how realtors could advertise in relationship to the broker's name. And this is different all across the nation, but Michigan specifically decided to adopt the rules that said the agent's name can be no larger than the broker's name. Actually, 5-star tried to fight this. Greg Carlson did a petition, hired a lobbyist, and went pretty far down the path to try to allow the agents to have a larger and more prominent branding on everything. We lost that battle, and so these are the rules we have now. So the state of Michigan has given us two measuring sticks to determine what is legal and not legal when using your name alongside of the broker name. With this in mind, with the state of Michigan saying that you can have your name no larger than the broker name, let's get into this. So the two measuring sticks we have are the height of the block of text, and we have the point sizing of the font. So the best way to describe block sizing would be, if you look at 5-star's logo, from the top of the F down to below our logo that says Real Estate Leaders on it, that is what we consider to be a block. Okay, so I can take the letters in your name if I use block sizing, and your letters can be as tall as that block, as long as they are on the same plane. I'll use Sue Prin's name, for example. Sue Prin's could be Sue and Prin's, and the S and the P in her name can be as large as the entire block of 5-star from the top of the F to the bottom of the Real Estate Leaders tagline. Now, her name is a lot larger than 5-star in that case from a point sizing perspective. So that's why in that case, I would use block sizing to maximize the visibility of Sue's name. If we were to apply the point sizing to this very same example, Sue's name would have to be much smaller. It would have to be an average of the letters in 5-star. We could be no bigger than the average of those letters. The important thing to remember is the state of Michigan does not require that both of these requirements are met. They're asking us to meet one of these measuring sticks. Now let's see how you could use point sizing to your advantage. Let's just say you want to stack your name on this particular branding. So you take Sue and then you take Prinz on top of each other. You would not want to use block sizing because look what happens when you apply block sizing to Sue's name now. Her name shrinks drastically to fit inside that block. In this case, we'd want to use point size and apply to Sue's name to maximize her visibility on marketing. So our goal in this, when we're helping you navigate these advertising rules, is to figure out which measuring stick's gonna be the most advantageous for you, and our team's always here to help. So for those of you that are running teams or are on teams, and you're gonna put your team name on your marketing along with your actual name, the team name applies to the same exact measuring sticks. You cannot have the team name much larger than 5-star per the state of Michigan. So anything that is identifying a team or an agent must fall within these measuring sticks. So while we're on the topic of advertising rules, NAR has a couple things to say as well. NAR wants you to use realtor, all capitalized with a registered trademark at all times. There's pretty much only one exception to this rule, and that's when it's being used in an email address, like Jane Smith Realtor at yahoo.com. There is another requirement here. They do not want you using the word realtor in any sort of descriptive fashion. So for example, using it as Up North Realtor or your Grand Rapids Realtor of choice or Kalamazoo's greatest realtor. And the reason behind this is the word realtor is part of a trade association. We're all equal inside this trade association. If you wanted to be descriptive, you could say something like Jane Smith Realtor, your West Michigan real estate professional. This also applies to email addresses. So if you wanted to use the word realtor in your email address, you could be Jane Smith Realtor. You could not be Jane Smith, your Up North Realtor, or Jane at yourupnorthrealtor.com. The only prohibited use of the word realtor is as a descriptor of yourself being a realtor. So now that we have all of these rules and regulations laid out before us here, applying them to unique advertising needs is always going to be a challenge. You're going to have challenges because you're going to be making a pen, you're going to be making a postcard, you're going to be getting your own private branch office. You want to know how to properly brand that. Always tap into us. We're here to help you. So if you have any questions about how to use it or what you can get away with or what's legal, we're going to be here to help you. One thing that people often think is that their name and the 5-star name need to be crunched together. So we're oftentimes seeing people try to jam our logo next to their name, all of it in one little spot. The state of Michigan does not state where everything needs to be placed. So talking about placement of the 5-star logo and your name, take a listing presentation, for example. Your name could be front and center, 5 stars could be down in the bottom right-hand corner, or 5 stars could be on the back side, as long as we're looking at it as one advertising unit. You don't necessarily need to have the 5-star logo scrunched right up next to your name. We do have some flexibility here, but the same point sizing and block sizing rules apply at all times. So most commonly, it's going to be fellow realtors who are going to be reporting you to Laura if they catch you with an advertising failure or mistake. The most common issues we see are with billboards and with digital advertising. When it comes to digital advertising, your YouTube video needs to have this on the video itself. Your YouTube page needs this information on the YouTube page. Your Instagram page needs this all on the Instagram page itself. If you are going to be posting an image that's marketing, and that image could be shared, not attached to your name, you need to have 5-star and the branding on that advertising slide. You need to protect yourself. The internet moves quickly, apps move quickly, technology changes fast. So when in doubt, brand it properly, advertise it properly. So the typical way a complaint goes down with your local association and or Lara is the realtor member or the public will make a complaint with the association. The association may choose to get involved. They may give you a little bit of a warning, like, hey, just a heads up, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your marketing piece you put out last week does not have the proper marketing on there. Please have it corrected. So best case scenario is a local association tells you, hey, clean it up. Get it advertised properly. Let's just get it corrected. Worst case scenario with the association is they take you before a hearing. They find you guilty of not following proper branding and advertising rules, and they're going to give you a fine or some sort of penalty. The absolute worst case scenario, and this is the one that you really want to avoid, is going to be when Lara gets involved. Because when Lara gets involved, they open up in a full investigation. They're driving over from Lansing. They're setting up meetings with you, with me, and it is an absolute nightmare to deal with. Typically, what Lara is going to do is they're also going to levy a fine. They might require you to take some more training. Worst case scenario, they have the ability to take your license away. So it's not worth it, guys. It's really not worth pushing the boundaries too far. You want to stay within the lines. If it's gray, just do the right thing. Let's talk about 5-star real estate's marketing and advertising requirements. Basically, 5-star just wants to make sure you guys are fitting into those legal requirements from Lara and NAR. But going forward, 5-star does also have some requirements. Our requirement is the 5-star logo should be used as often as possible. Here's our logo. We want it used properly on your marketing. The things to avoid would be a couple of examples, like using the logo in white on light colored backgrounds, or using the logo in black on dark colored backgrounds. Sometimes we'll see people squash the logo down like this. Sometimes we'll see them stretch it out. They'll make it tall, like Abe Lincoln, and you get all sorts of wonky ways the logo is presented. We want to avoid that. The preferred colors for the 5-star logo would be charcoal, green, or white. Let's say you wanted to use a lot of purple in your marketing. You could certainly place the 5-star logo on purple backgrounds. You could get lots of purple involved in this sort of branding and marketing idea that you have. Our preference would be that you do not turn the 5-star logo purple. You would use it in one of those other colors along with your color purple. 5-star is all about agents doing their own branding. We love that. We're super big proponents of it. We've built a whole entire creative team to help you do it. The one thing we try to control a little bit would be yard signs, to have some level of consistency out there in the marketplace. So what we've done over the past few years is we've tried to make that sign have this nice open area that gives you the ability to create your own brand feel and presence on the sign while not creating a very unique sign just for you. It's still a 5-star sign with your branding on it.